Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Kalimantan meeting room for the ASEAN Finance Ministers and Central Bank Governors meeting. This is the last day and the culmination of 4 days of meetings. So you can find your seats. We have 4 seats for each delegate, so we hope that you find everything well. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would kindly take your seats, the meeting will soon begin. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now begin the ASEAN Finance Ministers and Central Bank Governors meeting. "2023 is the year of recovery, the year of growth, and the year of ASEAN. Not only to overcome the effect of the pandemic, ASEAN countries have the potential to thrive and grow stronger. This wouldn't be without challenges amid global inflation and uncertainty. While it is very important for policymakers to make the right decision for their countries, it is imperative that ASEAN countries collaborate to strengthen the region's economy. In Indonesia's 2023 ASEAN chairmanship, the country will continue to lead discussions on various issues of concern. The finance track will maintain focus on 3 priority agendas: recovery rebuilding, digital economy, and sustainability. The discussions and actions by ASEAN is important to make sure that the region, in all its beauty, survive and thrive for centuries to come. So let us work together and make this the year of ASEAN. ASEAN Matters, epicentrum of growth.
Okay, let's start. My dear colleague, Pak Peri Warjio, my fellow ASEAN finance ministers as well as central bank governors, ASEAN Secretariat colleague, ASEAN Secretary General colleague, Excellencies, senior management from the international financial institution, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon, Om Swastiastu. First of all, I would like, on behalf of all participants, I would like to express my sincere gratitude, especially for Pak Governor Peri Warjio and his wonderful team for a very, very excellent hospitality and arrangement, and especially last night that I hope and I'm sure you are all enjoying both the dinner and the performance. It is really an honor for us, Indonesia, to serve you all under the chairmanship of ASEAN Finance Process again. And this is especially very, very important because the last time that we hold the chairmanship was 12 years ago in 2011. It is also especially pleasing to be able to do this in person, as this is the first ASEAN Finance and Finance Minister and Governor meeting, which we are able to do it in person after 3 consecutive years of virtual meetings. I would like to extend my appreciation to our fellow ministers and governors for their contribution and continued support for ASEAN, including under Indonesia chairmanship. This meeting coincidentally is with the month of Ramadan, and many of the Indonesia is actually following this. So I know some of you are currently fasting. So I do hope you still have the energy to take all the agenda. I believe that this is also a rare opportunity that you are all of us is going to bless by Allah Almighty. So we hope that the meeting today is going to be a success. Bali and ASEAN have a long history. Back in 2003, our ASEAN leaders launched the Bali Concord II, one of the foundation for regional integration, which currently we know as ASEAN Community. In 2011, ASEAN finance ministers and central bank governors was also held here in Bali. At the time, I actually attended those meetings in my capacity as the World Bank Managing Director, so I sit over there in the meeting. So I feel blessed that today I will be able to participate again in 2023, this time as a chair of this meeting. Distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen, today we will have our 9th ASEAN Finance Minister and Central Bank Governor meeting, a collective coordination among ASEAN Finance Minister and Central Bank Governors to progress our shared interests in the regional finance process. Indonesia chairmanship has the theme ASEAN Matters, Epicentrum of Growth. We believe ASEAN must aim to be a region with robust, inclusive, sustainable economic growth. Economic growth has and will always be the story of ASEAN. And to ensure that this will be continuous, we must strengthen ASEAN capacity to respond to the previous challenge, but most importantly, the current and new challenges that we are all seeing today, and the expected challenges in the next 20 years. Our region has showed high economic growth. This is especially in the period of 2010 to 2019, in which ASEAN steadily contributed 3% of the world real GDP. In 2020, the region's GDP contracted due to the pandemic more than the world rate. And unfortunately, in 2021, we saw growth that did not exceed pre-pandemic level. We expect full recovery took place in 2022. For Indonesia, we are a little bit lucky in 2021, we've already exceeding the pre-pandemic level. This situation, especially due to the pandemic and the current situation, is really unprecedented for us after enjoying a very long period of high economic growth rate, but also provide a good motivation for us to ensure our economies are in better shape today than yesterday. Many of our international organizations here still projected that our region will have positive outlook in 2023 ahead. And we still have much time this year to make sure that this projection will be materialized or even better. But we are all need to remain vigilant and be prepared for some external challenges may cause turbulence in our regional economies. We should keep updating our policy to respond to the dynamic situation. We should also not to be complacent about the regional expected high economic growth. On the other hand, we should also actively maintain and facilitate this situation in order for us to continue doing our best in reforming our economy and ensuring sustainability. We have many areas of cooperation underway. Under Finance and Central Bank sectoral body, there are 6 initiatives reflected in 6 working committees. These are financial service liberalization, capital account liberalization, capital market development, financial inclusion, ASEAN banking integration framework, and payment and settlement system. Some initiatives are long-standing, even dating back to 1999, and some are relatively new, which is from 2015. They form important tools for all of us that they can contribute our regional economic resiliency as well as resiliency of each individual economy. As the highest decision-making forum under our sectoral body, it is of course our responsibility to collaborate and make tangible progress, strategically managing all these initiatives so that they continue to provide optimum benefit for us all. Distinguished ministers and governors, to conclude my opening, we would look forward to your active engagement during our discussion later. We hope to hear all your views so that our collaboration considers the circumstances of all members and we can ensure that no one left behind. All your voices are very important and meaningful for our cooperation. As neighbors, we are all close relatives that must rely on each other, as is so effectively expressed in the ASEAN anthem. We dare to dream, we care to share, together for ASEAN, for it's the way of ASEAN. I'm sure many of you don't know about the anthem, so that's why I quote this lyric to remind this spirit. Thank you again. Now I give the chair to Governor Peri Warjio. Pak Governor.
Thank you, Minister Sri Mulyani, and thank you for reminding us of the ASEAN anthem. This is spirit of the togetherness, cooperation, because ASEAN is matter, ASEAN is the epicenter of growth. With that, good afternoon, Honorable Finance Minister, fellow governors, deputies, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the ASEAN Finance Minister and Central Bank Governors Meeting, Afmgm 2023. Let me also join Minister Sri Mulyani to welcome you all to this exquisite island of Bali of Indonesia. Both of us will take this opportunity of this meeting to further deliberate on the progress and activities of the ASEAN financial integration agenda under the Indonesia-ASEAN chairmanship in 2023. For the past 2 days, our deputies have discussed very hard work, the way forward of various initiatives to achieve the goals of ASEAN Economic Community 2025. As we all know, as the world gradually recovers from the post-COVID-19 pandemic and various unfolding global issues, the ASEAN region continues to show its resilience while recognizing the need to accelerate the engine of growth in a sustainable way. At the same time, the world is rapidly evolving and adapting to the new emerging agenda. Among them, digitalization and sustainable finance. Indonesia carefully crafted its priorities agenda to address these emerging issues, as well as recognizing that there is a urgent call for ASEAN to contribute more to the global effort for growth and stability, and the need to accelerate the achievement of goals of the ASEAN financial integration. I thank the hard work of our deputies and all ASEAN working committees under the Finance and Central Bank track for the work progress and innovative initiative and priorities agenda. On this note, I wish to seek your support in achieving the common goals of ASEAN, as well as Indonesia 3 ASEAN Chairmanship Strategic Trust, in the economic sector, namely recovery and rebuilding, digital economy, and sustainability, of which we have carefully identified and elaborated to Indonesia Priority Economic Deliverable, PEDs, and as I have been reported, have warmly been received by the ASEAN Working Committee during their respective meetings. As central bank governors and finance ministers, we must harness our collective expertise and experience to develop policies and measures that promote economic resilience, sustainability, and inclusion. I would like to encourage all of us to concentrate on concrete and practical action that can tackle the emerging challenges while at the same time still steer the regional integration at the right pace and sequence. We have to think globally, act small, as well as move very fast. This is the spirit of the central bank governance that we discussed this morning. Such actions can include the following three agenda. Number one, we must have a good understanding on the global and regional macroeconomic and financial stability dynamics and be able to formulate optimal policy mix. This is the trademark of the ASEAN, the optimal policy mix. True understanding of macroeconomic and financial stability framework is necessary. The policy coordination between fiscal and monetary policy. The policy mix of monetary policy between interest rate, foreign exchange intervention, and macro capital flows management, as well as also the policy mix of monetary and macro-prudential policy. This is the trademark of the ASEAN and guiding our recovery resilience over the past 3 years and will be moving forward. We have seen that both IMF and the BIS have provided their views and recommendations in this area for country policy makers to consider updating them in their policy formulation, tailored according to its country circumstances. And with that, we thank IMF and the BIS for developing this integrated policy framework as well as macro financial stability framework. Number two, leveraging on the global agenda in the area of cross-border payment. This is ASEAN also another legacy, not only for ASEAN, but also to the world. ASEAN already benefit from faster, cheaper, and more transparent and more inclusive cross-border payment system services to boost transaction, develop economy, and increase growth. Last year, under Indonesia presidential G20, the 5 of ASEAN already signing MOU for cross-border connectivity in the payment. And this year, we will advance to all members of the ASEAN. And as harnessing digitalization is also important for financial inclusion. This will promote financial and economic inclusion across wide spectrum of society, including MSMEs, youth, and women as well. With affordable, cross-border, digitalized payment system, we are transforming the so-called undeserved in financial system to become well-deserved and engine of our economic recovery. Number three, in the current global financial market dynamics, influenced heavily on rapid interest hiking cycle by major central banks, it has been more important for emerging market to shield its external sector from unintended consequences. In this aspect, we already cement our economy through prudent macroeconomic policy, being fiscal, monetary. We also strengthen our financial system stability, as well as we strengthen our external resilience. But more needs to be done, which is diversifying our currency uses in trade, investment, and other economic and financial transactions. The use of local currency in transaction on trade, investment, and financial market and remittances will be able to reduce dependency of our economies on major currency, reduce our volatilities to strengthen our external stability. Such favorable setting will facilitate more stable economic growth as well as development and inclusion. At the meeting, I hope to advance our past discussion to a strategic level to lay the groundwork for effective regional cooperation. Of course, both Minister Sri Mulyani and myself encourage all of the ministers and governors to make the most this opportunity and contribute to a constructive and productive dialogue that will pave the way for a prosperous future for our region. I will stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Peri. Now we will start our